SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
This is Gerard Gibert, and thank you for listening to MidDays here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning to you on a gorgeous Friday morning. I can't even say that with a straight face. Rhino, welcome to Middays in the Element Well Studios. Dave Hughes in today. Rhino over in the box. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing peachy. I'm nowhere near Iran.
Well, that's probably the first box to check to see if you're doing well today. There's so much about that as it comes out. My favorite part of it, did you see the press conference, the press opportunity with President Trump this morning about it?
I didn't see it. I saw some people tweeting about it, but I haven't stopped long enough to watch the clip.
Absolutely beautiful. I had seen someone point it out last night. On April 12th, President Trump gave Iran 60 days to come to an agreement on their nuclear arsenal and get things worked out, or there would be big consequences. Yesterday was day 61. So, yeah, what we said, apparently we meant it, and we didn't even do it, which is fascinating to me. Supposedly they have been launching drones in response, which have pretty much just been handled, taken down, no worries. So far, not a lot to worry about, but I think you and I both know we've been watching this kind of stuff for long enough to realize it's not over yet.
And this is the second major military operation involving covert drone insertion.
Yeah, that's the new way of things. That is the new way things are going to go, which means we better come up with some kind of defense for that.
You don't think DARPA's already got some microwave gun just waiting to make its debut publicly?
I would hope so. I would like to think so, yeah. They've got it looks like a bazooka. Have you seen those? The shoulder mount anti-drone technology? Where they shoot them down one at a time. I'm hoping we've got something a bit more broad-based and automated, because you know that this is going to happen again and again and again moving forward.
I'm trying to remember, maybe it was the Swiss Guard with the Pope's announcement, but there were some sightings of a shoulder-fired, looked like a space laser from a 90s sci-fi movie that was supposedly an anti-drone device.
Yeah, just shoot them down, which is great, but we need something automated. So apparently we need an AI-powered, robot-driven anti-drone device. What planet are we living on that sentence made sense? But that's where we are now. So we might as well gear up for it. Yeah, apparently they didn't even smuggle the drones in this time. The reports I'm seeing, they went and recruited some native Iranians. These were not Israelis in disguise, not like a James Bond operation. They went and recruited people and then helped them get all the stuff to assemble the drones inside the country. And then they took and launched them. So they didn't even have to ship the drones in. It's just really interesting as we continue to watch this unfold. The thing about it is that first strike did a lot more damage than anybody might expect, because the head of the general staff was taken out. That's been confirmed now by Iranian TV. They're not going to say it if it didn't happen. Several nuclear scientists, the leaders of the nuclear program, have been taken out. The general staff is the extension of the leader. In other words, they can make decisions on his behalf based on his policies and what he would have done if they'd asked him and put it into effect. Because, generals aren't really generals anymore. They don't manage every single detail of every battle. It's gotten too big. It's gotten too complicated. It did that quite some time ago. So you have a general staff command that lets the military leader be in more places than one at a time. You take out the staff, we're back to one guy trying to manage the whole thing. Yeah, they're going to bump other people up, but they don't have the experience. They don't have they're not at the same level, or they would have already been on the general staff. So that puts a major hitch in the giddy-up of what Iran can do to respond to this. They're still trying to figure out what's going on. They got some guy trying to call the shots, doesn't know where the bathroom is yet because nobody showed him. They hadn't had time. So a lot of fascinating details about this whole thing, including the pizza index. I'm sure you saw that, Rhino.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be something that's set up as an alert for foreign intelligence leaders, to where if pizza deliveries start going up in D.C., they start sweating.
Yeah, just kind of a shot across the bow. Like, you better watch out. Getting us a lot of pizza. We're getting the Mountain Dew in. We're ready to go. And it's I'm not sure that it means what everybody thinks it means, just like you said. But it is fascinating. About an hour before any major geopolitical event, there's a run on the pizza places. Why just pizza? Why pizza specifically? Why not burgers? Why not chicken? Why not, falafel? Whatever. I don't know, but why just pizza?
Is it the purchase power to? No, never mind. I can't even do that with a straight face. They're not thinking about money.
No. This is the Pentagon. They'll pay $200 a pizza and not blink. So that's always been an interesting aspect of that to me. Why pizza? And maybe it's because it's easier to track. Maybe. I don't really see how it would be, but maybe that's it. Price of oil is up. Shocker of the year. I think it shot up 13% before trading started today. I don't know what it is now, but I'm sure it's going to continue to rise. Keep an eye on the pump. We all know what's coming. However, they are doing little silent, quiet, happy dances with the doors closed down in South Louisiana because that's how they make their money. Oil gets down to nothing per barrel. They're not making money. They're having layoffs. They're having problems. Just avoided that for a little while at least. But you and I have talked about this before. Does it seem like things that used to, when something happened, this was going to be going on forever? This is something we're going to be talking about this for months. This is a huge, impactful event. Those same types of events happen now, and within 24 to 48 hours, it's like, yeah, that happened. Now, moving on, nothing seems to linger anymore. Nothing has staying power. Is it just me?
No, it's partially a byproduct of the 24-hour news cycle maturing into what it has become. Maybe maturing is not the right word. Transforming into what it's become.
There we go. Yeah, that's better.
But it's also the influx of information to the average person available via social media, whether that be misinformation or real information. It travels just as fast on social media. And you wind up with almost like this snowballing effect that once the need for, something new, something new, something new, it just never slows down.
Yeah, everyone's addicted to dopamine at this point. Just nonstop. Got to get that hit. Got to get that rush of something new. Maybe nobody else knows this. Quick, let me run and regurgitate it like the other 8 million people doing the same thing so I can feel special. I'm in the know. I'm connected. No, you're annoying is what you are, but nobody will tell you that except for your old buddy Disaster Dave here. So we're going to watch this. I know they're having a Security Council meeting in Washington that President Trump called. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it. I would expect before you and I get done here at 1 to hear something about some type of retaliation from Iran. Failed, effective, ineffective, whatever. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you updated on it. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Did you hear about RFK Jr.'s new health plan? It's apparently in the big, beautiful bill, is what he said. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show as we continue on a Friday morning on Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Keep it right here.
We all hear the radio.
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Check it out. Let's do this.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's get on with it.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
It's midnight Cinderella, but don't you worry none. 'Cause I'm Peter, the pumpkin eater, and the party has just begun. I guess your Prince Charming wasn't after all, 'cause he sure seemed different right after the ball. I guess more than horses are turning into rats.
I like this song, but it's always puzzled me. You know, Peter, Pumpkin Eater? Really? I guess it fit with the rhyme, but we're going there. And that's not even considering the implications. We also know where her slipper's at. It's a unique song. It's interesting. Welcome back, Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Dave Hughes here. Rhino over in the booth. Did you see, I don't know if you have this audio. I meant to send you this link, and as usual, I fell down on the job. Have you seen the audio from Sheriff Wayne Ivey of Brevard County, Florida, in his press conference?
I think I know which one you're talking about, yeah.
Where he was outlining what was going to be done about protesters causing problems in Brevard County. Not a subtle man, Sheriff Ivey.
Here we go.
Order. You're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired, because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead.
So, Sheriff Ivey, tell us what you really think. But, you know, I like that. I like that. And here's why I like that. If you don't have legitimate consequences presented in advance, there is no impediment to not cause trouble. We've seen that in other places. We've seen it all over the country. Oh, I'm not going to get in trouble. It's no big deal. He just outlined a very well-defined structure of offenses and punishments to match the crime. There is a second part to that. There is a second level that you have to implement, though. If that's going to have the effect you want it to, you got to follow through on it. I know we have gone through a period of time for several years where you just don't say some things. You know what I'm talking about right now. We have been, as a country, told we have to be, gentle and make sure we don't upset anyone with our words. That's not purple, it's fuchsia. I'm going to my therapist. That kind of thing. Then you get this kind of plain talking, this kind of straight talking, and it's a little shocking to some people. Some of the reactions I've seen to that have been, well, I started to say funny, but it was more heartening because maybe that kind of talk gets through to people, because that to me is the one thing we're missing. I'm sorry, taking somebody and putting them in jail and they're back out the next day, that's not stopping anyone from doing anything. It's just not. They don't care. That kind of conversation, if they believe you, not about you, Rhino. I believe Sheriff Ivey. He didn't sound like he was just having a fun time making up some stuff. If they believe you, that will cut down on the problems, I think. Don't you agree?
Well, I think the first person to try to tangle with him might not believe him, but the second will.
Yes. And that's what I'm talking about. You've got to have follow-through. It sounds to me like he's going to have follow-through, and I know Governor Ron DeSantis in the state has said some of the same kind of things. So it's kind of a Florida attitude about this of, you get in front of the car, we're just going to gun it. We're just going to run you over. That's on you, not me. So yes, there has to be follow-through. Once you have come out publicly like he has and said these things, well, then you have to do it. Because the first time you don't follow that little list you just put out, they're going to wave that around like a banner going, see, they don't really mean it. And then you've got a worse problem than you had before you had the press conference. So that's the other aspect of this. Everybody enjoys hearing this kind of talk, but talk only gets you so far. You got to take action. And of course, tomorrow we have, I think it's right at close to 2,000 protests planned around the country. The No Kings protest.
Oh, yeah.
We got 5 in Mississippi of those. I don't know if you noticed. We got Starkville, Oxford, Tupelo, Jackson, and Gulfport. Those 5 cities each have one of these protests planned. I don't think it's going to go quite the same way here that it will in other locations.
Nah. I predicted earlier this week that the one in Jackson will have, they might get to 20, but I don't think they're getting to 24.
Well, it's going to help that it's going to be rainy. Because if there's one thing angry people don't like, it's getting wet, apparently. Because once it starts storming, well, protest over. Time to go home.
Well, I'm just basing that on the fact that it seems like every time there's a protest at the Capitol in Jackson, there's a group of 15 to 20 people that are all milling around. They're all the same people. They just hold different signs.
Yeah, they just go home, change their signs out, and come back for the next one. Having a big impact. Good job. Great job. But you're seeing some of this rhetoric like we got from Sheriff Ivey of Brevard County down in Florida, to try to get ahead of it a little bit, because when you got all these things going on, you're going to have some people show up to some of these and try to stir up problems. They're going to try to get something started, fighting the good fight. And if you ask me, Sheriff Ivey has the idea of how to deal with it. Swiftly, efficiently, and completely. And then all of a sudden, everyone else loses their interest. Those 15 to 20 people go home, and they're grumbling because they wasted a good piece of poster board. And that's about all they did. which, to be fair, that's usually about all they did. But now, with those already planned and scheduled for tomorrow, on the birthday of the Army, I am so tired of hearing he's throwing a parade for his birthday. No, his birthday happens to be the same as the Army's, and the Army is having a parade. He's throwing it for them to celebrate 250 years of the U.S. Army. On Flag Day, no less. So, all of that is happening. You've got these protests all over the country. And then we had the attack on Israel and Iran coming right out and saying that they blame us too. Not surprising.
I haven't been able to confirm it, but I did see a report late last night that the wording of the report made me think there might have been U.S. assets in the air over Iran. They didn't fire any missiles. They didn't take any aggressive action. And the wording of the report made it sound like Israel called up the U.S. and said, "Hey, will y'all come film this for me? I need a good shot of it."
Yeah, I've seen some of those same reports. Like you, I haven't officially confirmed it. I don't know if we ever will, but yeah, we were cameramen, if that's true. But with all that going on, and coupled in with the fact that we have had an immigration problem for the 4 years before President Trump was sworn in, to where the front door was not just left unlocked, it was thrown open, propped open, with a sign that said, "Come on in, y'all." What are the odds, do you think, that we have some type of Iranian sleeper agents inside America right now, waiting for an opportunity like Saturday, when you've got all these protests planned, to try to cause some problems? I don't think that chance is zero. Not saying it's going to happen. I certainly hope it doesn't, but just something to keep in your mind. When we come back, we've got a much better topic to talk about, and that's the amazing young women at the Miss Mississippi pageant going on this weekend. This weekend, we'll talk to Margaret Edney right after this on Middays in the Element Wealth Studios.
From the Seabrook Paint Mississippi, Gerard Gibert.
Welcome to our shop
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Okay, now you have a good one.
Got to hit the cowbell with me, Mary. It's coming up. Oh, here we go. There we go. Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. I could use that for the talent portion of the pageant. I just don't have the legs for the evening dress competition. We've got with us Margaret Edney, the press chair for the Miss Mississippi organization. Big week for the organization because it's Miss Mississippi week. How are you doing this morning, Mary?
We're tired, but we're here. It's been a great week so far.
I hate to sound even a slightly negative note, but you think you're tired now. Let's check back on Monday and see how you're doing, because you got a big weekend coming.
We do. We're excited. The final portion of the competition will happen Saturday night. So tonight, Friday, we've got one more round of preliminary competition, and then Saturday night we'll have our winner.
Now, tell us about this week and how it's unfolded, where it's happening, exactly what has happened so far, because it is kind of a week-long event, isn't it?
It is. So it's in Vicksburg, Mississippi. The headquarters for everything is the Vicksburg Convention Center downtown. So the contestants arrived last weekend on Saturday. So they're coming up on day 6 already. There's a program, a mentorship program with the pageant. So girls ages 7 through 13, They crowned them as Magnolia Bells last Saturday. Rehearsals, all of that at the beginning of the week. There was a parade Monday evening through downtown Vicksburg. Each day there's been an autograph party, there's been rehearsals, speaking engagements for the contestants, different things going on. And then, of course, the preliminary competition started Wednesday night, had 2 winners Wednesday night in talent and then in evening wear. 2 winners last night, talent and evening wear, and then we'll continue with preliminaries this evening too.
Now, let's go ahead and give some attention, if we can. Who were those preliminary winners? Who do we have that already have some achievement out of this experience?
Yeah. So Wednesday night, our winner in talent was Miss Mississippi State University, Sarah Randolph. Our winner in evening wear was Miss Vicksburg, Morgan Nelson, both Vicksburg girls. And then last night, our talent winner was Miss Hattiesburg, Jane Granberry. She was a dancer. And evening wear was Miss University, Mackenzie Cox.
Very nice. So we've got those 4 already. How does that factor into winning the overall competition? Does that carry any weight when they're tallying up the final scores that they won a preliminary?
It does. So each segment of the competition holds different weight. I think talent is 30%, health and fitness is 20%, and then there's interview. So they will roll some of that score from the preliminary competitions if they're named a top 10 finalist Saturday night. Then a piece of that score stays with them, but the clock kind of starts over too. So they'll redo their talent, they'll redo their evening wear, and all of that on Saturday night.
So would it be fair to say in some ways it's almost kind of a tiebreaker for the big night, these preliminaries?
It can be. Yeah, they definitely make a difference. Again, you can kind of see, we know whose scores are higher, in these certain areas. There are some scores we don't know. We don't announce winners in, their private interview, for example, that they have one-on-one with the judges. They get a little more, into current events and things like that. And then they also have an onstage interview question. That's another score that during preliminaries is not released. So the talent and the evening wear are the only ones that we can, kind of publicly track, who are, you hate to call them front runners, but who those winners are at this time.
Now, one thing you can publicly track, I know this, is the scholarships that you give out, because you guys hand out a ton of money to the contestants in this pageant.
We do. Mississippi is actually one of the top scholarship awarding competitions in the Miss America program, which, I think is incredible. This year, we're looking to give out about $130,000 worth of scholarships. And so I think it comes out to around 70 awards or so. And that's preliminary winners get scholarships for that. The top 10, you've got quality of life winners. Each contestant has a social impact initiative. Back in the day, we called those their platform, that they work on, community service minded things. There are finalists who are recognized for that. There are a lot of business sponsors who help out with the pageant. So there's medical groups will offer a $500,000 scholarship to the girl who has the highest GPA in a medicine-related field, things like that. So, it's a tremendous amount of money, and every contestant leaves with some amount of scholarship dollars in their pocket.
So just making it to the pageant, you've got some kind of scholarship money coming your way.
Yes, you do. And there's scholarships at the local level, too. When they win that local title, they start earning scholarships right then.
Now, they changed it from platform to, what was it, social something?
Community Service Initiative.
Community Service Initiatives. Why did they change it from platform? That made sense to me.
I think... Yeah. I think just to make it more obvious of exactly what it is. And I think too, to better connotate the hands-on, piece of it. You're not just standing on stage like they do in Miss Congeniality and saying, donate your organs. These girls are out in the community. They're hugging kids at Blair Batson. They're doing the work. So you're not just an advocate for it. You're doing some hands-on stuff while also advocating for that initiative.
I love your immediate go-to example was donate your organs. All of them. Just give them away. But
I'm telling you, if you're familiar with pageants from the 1990s, that's what it seemed like it was.
Just about every other contestant, it felt like. But that does, to me, speak to one thing that gets talked about, but I don't think anyone really focuses on it. Because these young women that are in this pageant, in most pageants, if not all of them, but this one especially, this is the big show, there is an immense amount of pressure on every single syllable that comes out of their mouth, and every time they wiggle a toe, it is just nonstop pressure. That's a lot to deal with and still give a good performance, I think. Have you had anybody that just like almost came close to the point of having a little mini freak out and going, I can't do this? Does that ever happen? It would to me, is why I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah, so these girls prepare for months leading up to this competition. Many of them have competed before, and so I think that they are often strong mentors for the girls who are competing for the first time. That's overwhelming for sure. They're in group messages. They're talking in the months leading up to this. So it is a lot. It's exhausting. It is a lot of pressure. But they also have a tremendous support system in each other. And so I think that helps. If you are friends with some of these girls, you'll see on social media when Miss Vicksburg gets married, Miss Leaf River Valley is her maid of honor, Miss Hattiesburg is a bridesmaid. And so, you see those relationships that form the hostess program. So, we have adult women, a lot of time grandma, mom energy. They kind of take care of these girls throughout the week. They're there to help with that sort of thing too, and kind of mitigate that as the week goes on.
Well, it's coming up, the big show. You got more preliminaries today, but tomorrow is the actual pageant. Tell us about where, when, how to see it, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. So the Saturday night competition is going to start at 8 p.m. Same thing, downtown Vicksburg at the Vicksburg Convention Center. I believe there are still tickets available. If you check out the Miss Mississippi website, there's an email address and a phone number there if you want tickets. Also, you can reach out on social media. There is a live stream package available online, so you can tune in online, but it'll also be broadcast statewide. The Jackson TV station is WLBT, and then across the state, their affiliates, WLOX on the coast, and the others in North Mississippi. So yeah, everybody can tune in. We would encourage you to watch.
No, and everybody's going to want to, because this is one of those events. Every single area of the state has a dog in this hunt, if you will. Somebody from your area is competing to win the title of Miss Mississippi. Mary Margaret Edney, I have enjoyed talking to you, and I look forward to your presentation of your talent next year, starting Monday. She didn't want to reveal this. She's starting her rehearsals for her talent, which is extreme napping.
Yeah.
She's going to start working hard
absolutely.
on that Monday and then just build up from there. Have a fantastic pageant, a fantastic show. Good job with all the scholarship money you're giving away, and keep up the good work.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having us.
Mary Margaret Edney, the press chair for the Miss Mississippi organization. Big pageant coming up tomorrow. Big week over in Vicksburg. We continue on this Friday morning. Next, keep it here.
At Fillmore Buick Jeep, covering the stories that matter most to Mississippians. Gerard Gibert, Middays with Gerard, SuperTalk Mississippi.
The blues has got a hold of me. I've
Welcome back. In the Element Wealth studio, if you're thinking about or planning for retirement, well, you need a plan. Do you have a plan? You don't have a plan? We got somebody that can help with that. Go to myelementwealth.com, or you can call 601-957-6006 to let Element Wealth help you find your balance between income, growth, and guarantees. New updates on the whole Iran-Israel situation. President Trump told NBC News that Iran had now missed an opportunity to make a deal, but they might have another opportunity. Iran has come back and said they're not going to attend the negotiations on Sunday. And this is my favorite part because they think this is going to do some good. Iranian state TV has announced this morning that they have appointed a new commander-in-chief of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, but they're not saying who it is. We're not going to reveal the identity of this person because the last one got blown up in his bed in his apartment last night is why they don't want to give out addresses. I get that. I just don't know that it's going to make that much of a difference. You know what I find interesting, Rhino, in all of this? This is a topic that is breaking the ironclad partisanship because you've got some Democrats for this attack, some Democrats against it, most Republicans for it, a couple of Republicans against it. The old toe the party line thing kind of went out the window on this topic, it seems like, to a certain extent, anyway.
Yeah, that was pretty evident when the first two elected officials' statements I saw were back-to-back on my Twitter feed, and it was John Fetterman and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah. Lindsey Graham, by the way, do you get the impression from the way he's worded everything and the way he's done things in interviews, does it seem to you like he's just kind of eagerly hopping from foot to foot like a kid on Christmas morning? That's what it feels like, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like we would lose our ability to broadcast over the air if I described what I think he was doing while he got the news.
Yeah. If you didn't get a mental image that was appropriate, good. You got the message there, I think. That's what it seemed like, and I'm not sure that's what we need in this situation. That's a little too far in the other direction. It seems like in this kind of situation where, and by the way, enormous breaking news, there's fighting in the Middle East. Who saw that coming? Just seems like you need to have a little more restraint than some people are showing. But then again, we are past the era of restraint in a lot of ways. Well, most ways, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Restraint right out the window. Who cares? Everything's all or nothing. President Trump now they're getting closer to talking about what you said, that we have both seen about some American equipment and assets active over there during all of this. Even though that has not been confirmed, let's make that crystal clear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's all kind of crazy stuff flying around. And I think the most believable one I've seen was that American tankers were refueling jets for them.
Yeah.
Because I'm fairly certain the video I saw of that wasn't AI.
Yeah, I saw that same video, and it looked real to me. It looked totally accurate. But President Trump this morning came out, made a couple of comments kind of leading in that direction. Number one, again, not a surprise, might as well admit it. He said that he knew Israel's attack was coming before it came. We knew that because they evacuated all the non-essential people from the embassies over there. So that doesn't happen just because you woke up and said, well, let's just give this a shot. No, he knew in advance. He has also confirmed this morning that American equipment was used in the attack. So that's something a little bit new because originally Marco Rubio came out and said America had no involvement in this whatsoever. Well, slowly that's being backed up one step at a time. Now it turns out we knew about it. Now it turns out Israel used some American equipment in the attack. And we all know what Iran is going to make of that, don't we?
The red flag of doom!
The great Satan burped fire upon us. Not worth a burp. The problem is going to be what comes out of this. I don't think it's going to be quite as overt as some might fear. I think we're going to see some
What, you're saying Tucker Carlson was wrong and thousands of U.S. service members aren't going to die in the next 48 hours?
Tucker Carlson was wrong. We only got 2 hours left in the show. I don't have enough time to run through that topic. No, I don't think that's going to happen. They might all get hit by bricks at protest, but I don't think it's going to happen from this. But wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong. We've got Fox News with breaking details and that emergency news sound, I'm sure. SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of Middays in the Element Well studios right after this.
Hour of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
And now, another hour of the talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Begin your transition now.
Now on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi live in the Element Wealth Studios for Middays. Dave Hughes here, and I don't know how it's going for you up there. Getting stormy down here, Ryan. Oh, Rhino. Ryan.
Yeah,
where did Ryan come from?
Oh, people have called me worse.
Okay.
It's been threatening rain, and they've been saying it's fixing to rain. Rain will start in 20 minutes. Rain will start in 20 minutes, except they keep pushing back 20 minutes, and so far it's sprinkled a bit, but nothing.
It's getting stormy here and several other places around the state, of course. Just to give you and everyone a fair heads up, we had an enormous crack of thunder and the lights blinked here. So, yeah. There may be a brief interruption in the proceedings, but just doing some admin stuff live in front of everybody. Rhino, why don't we just go ahead and plan? I'll just hop on the phone if that happens. Yeah, and we'll just go right back to where we were. So just call me if I get really quiet, because I don't normally get quiet. Ask anybody that knows me. Quiet is not my default state. New update from the conflict in the Middle East about 7-8 minutes ago. Explosions are being heard in Tehran. So it continues. It's ongoing, which Prime Minister Netanyahu said it was going to be ongoing for days. So not a major surprise there. And the retaliation, I feel, is coming at some point. It's going to be curious to see what it is. I know they hit a lot of missile installations. They hit a lot of assets of different types. You have to wonder what their response capability is. It's practically a guarantee. It's much less than it was 24 hours ago. But you would think they would have something left in the tank, wouldn't you?
Well, and there were some reports that there was a small retaliatory cruise missile strike that was intercepted by Jordan. Although, again, this is all within the first 24 hours of a major military action, so it's tough to get confirmation on anything. But if that were to be confirmed, it would kind of point to they've tried and it was shut down relatively quickly, and they're worried about trying again and losing face.
Losing face, and at this point, losing capability, because every missile you launch is a one-time deal. And one of the attacks last night was on the ballistic missile manufacturing facility. So it's going to take a while to get more made, obviously, because first they have to remake some of the facility, if not all of it, in order to get back to full manufacturing capacity. So, yeah, they might be a little more reserved. Now that I've said that, you and I both know what's going to happen, right? It'll be this massive thing. But,
well, that's the threat. They are threatening, and there have been reports that intelligence has told, I believe it was senators, that Iran does have the capability to overwhelm Israel's defenses. They just haven't pulled the trigger on it. Now, whether or not that's true or not remains to be seen, but it does seem like they have more than they've shown, but I don't believe they have as much as they claim.
They usually don't. They talk a very big game. But the various Islamic organizations, and I'm including Iran in that because it's an Islamic leadership, tend to do a lot of, like I said, third column stuff, sneak attacks, terrorist attacks, things of that nature. I'm just not sure there's going to be that level of response. Might be wrong. Hope I'm not. For once, I'm going to say this. I hope I'm right.
Well, Beirut did tell Hezbollah to not even think about it. So Lebanon is at least telling their terrorists to stay out of it.
Get very still and very quiet. And that's probably a good move for everybody. Well, we'll keep you up to date as new developments come in. Nothing that is a surprise so far out of everything that we've heard. There's apparently a video out now of the nuclear facility in Iran getting hit by the Israeli attacks overnight. I wonder if it was filmed by American equipment. What we were talking about earlier. We should be able to tell from the production values. Have you noticed, and Prime Minister Netanyahu, this has nothing to do with anything, but I did find it interesting. He released that video statement. It's like 7 minutes and 16 seconds, something like that. Well done, well produced, very nice. Number one, it was in English, not Hebrew, so we all know who he was talking to. But everything that comes from there in terms of video, it's fine. It looks great. It just looks and feels washed out somehow. Is it just me?
No, it does feel like they don't put as much emphasis on the quote-unquote production value.
Well, to be fair, one of the biggest focuses in America is being pretty. So that's not a huge surprise there. Did you hear, totally off this topic, did you hear that the Senate confirmed the new head of the IRS yesterday?
Oh, yeah, the one that wants to tear apart the IRS.
Yes.
I'm all for it.
The new leader of the IRS, the new controller of the IRS, doesn't want there to be an IRS. I'm going to chalk that up as a positive step. He's also a former auctioneer. You've seen the viral videos going around when a protester would interrupt and he started auctioneering. The same thing with the deficit about a decade ago. Talking to some Billy Long is his name. This could get interesting before it's over with, because that has kind of been a stated goal for a while now from the Trump administration before they were voted in and took office. They'd like to see the federal income tax lessened or eliminated. So who do you put in? Well, the guy that wants it eliminated. Might be telegraphing the punch just a little bit. I'm okay with it. I'm here for it. Because really, I'm sorry, when you see the kind of things that your tax dollars have been spent on, when you see the kind of expenditures that have happened using your money, you reach the point where you don't want to give any more money. And that's kind of where we're at. Now, there are going to be a lot of people that are immediately going to go into the financial weeds on this and say, well, we can't survive without tax revenue. We must have all of this. The kids in Uganda need Frisbees. We need this money. Yeah, right. I bet you don't need nearly as much as you think you need, or as you want us to believe you need. And we might be about to start finding out on that particular thing, because if all of a sudden the IRS quits collecting income tax, that's going to kind of have to change the budgetary process, isn't it? That's going to make a difference by default, you would think.
Well, they wouldn't be able to have continuing resolutions. They'd actually have to do their job and pass a budget.
And pass a stripped-down, more efficient budget. Part of the problem, to me, is we don't know where the money is being spent. And I'm not even talking about the Doge stuff that they dug out, because we knew that. We've been joking about that for years, some of the ridiculous expenditures coming from the federal government. I'm talking about the Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in 7 years. We don't know what they're spending the money on. We don't know where it's going. The same thing is true for a lot of the federal government. Here's $100. Well, I need 100 more. I spent that. What'd you spend it on? Not sure.
Yeah, it's not even like they can say, well, we have this program that we can't talk about publicly, but it cost us $75 billion. They just don't know where the $75 billion went.
Yes, it's not classified. They're not saying it because, well, we can't talk about that publicly, because there are some things that fall under that umbrella. Not as many as they want you to believe, but there are. Literally talking about we got several $1 billion we can't account for. Well, because it's top secret? No, we don't know where we put it. We don't know where it went. That has been a huge problem for a while. So I think there's going to be a lot more support to outside of Washington, obviously, to eliminate the federal income tax than some people would expect. Because eventually you reach the point where enough is enough, and we're kind of past that point right now, I think. We continue on a stormy Friday morning for some parts of the world. Rhino's doing fine. Here on Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. We're back right after this.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
We're rolling. Hit it. Go. Play it.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Middays in the Element Wealth Studios, and sitting in the big chair with us, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Caleb Sailors. How you doing this morning, man?
Dave, I'm great. I just finished my mug of coffee. I've got my an occasional Snake King mug. It's a gift. Inside joke in the newsroom. JT Mitchell was gracious to get me this for Christmas. And also, they're celebrating Snake Day events at the Mississippi Museum of Natural Science. So y'all hop on over there if you want to go see live snakes in action. I know my boss, JT, is actually probably handling one at this very moment.
Well, you do what you got to do in this career, you know?
You do what you got to do. But, you know, fun things going on in Mississippi. And I'm not a huge snake connoisseur, but I'm cool with them in, like, controlled environments. Like, if I'm at a museum or a zoo and someone professional who has experience is handling one, I'm cool with it. But if I'm out in the open and just walking and I see one slithering, I'm not the biggest fan. But I am a huge fan of the old game snake that started on the Nokia phone and now has incorporated itself into a Google game. How we got off on this topic, I don't know. Sorry, but we've had a lot of cool things happening in Mississippi this week, Dave.
That was fantastic. Last time I ran into a real live snake, it's been a couple of years back. I was down in the Wiggins area and almost stepped on a rattlesnake at Bigfoot River.
Ooh.
Or Bigfoot Creek, I think it is. If you didn't know that exists, you're welcome. There's your rabbit hole for the weekend. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. I think probably the biggest one, the splashiest news item that came out this week is that we have a contender. It's never too early to start running for the governor's race in 2.5 years. So we have our first contender out in a big one, and that's Commissioner of Agriculture Andy Gibson.
And I think it's also it's shaping up to be a very crowded Republican side of the aisle for 2027. I'm not sure what the Democratic Party's makeup is right now. I really don't know who a potential Democratic nominee would be at this moment, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But on the Republican side, State Auditor Shad White has not shied away from hinting and teasing and kind of telling people that his plan is to run for governor. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann has also done the same thing, pretty much said that his intention is to run, but neither one of them has formally made an announcement. And there's been scuttlebutt that, business tycoon Tommy Duff, big tire bigwig, has aspirations to run for governor. But again, no official announcement. So Agriculture Commissioner Andy Gibson has tossed his cowboy hat in the ring at an opportunity of being Mississippi's highest elected official, and he's running off of his record as Ag Commissioner. He took over the post in 2018 after Cindy Hyde-Smith, now Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, was appointed by former Governor Phil Bryant to occupy that seat that was once held by Thad Cochran. But the commissioner, though, he since being elected to the state agency, he's bragged about boasting increasing security at the Mississippi State Fair and the fairgrounds itself. We had a bad shooting at the Mudbug Festival a couple of years ago. A couple of people passed away, and it was very tragic. And that was kind of an eye-opening thing for Jackson and for events held at the fairgrounds. And the commissioner really took the onus upon himself to say, hey, we're not going to have this at events that I'm overseeing. And since then, the ramped-up efforts to patrol the state fair have proven fruitful. We haven't had any major incidents in the last couple of state fairs, and that's because, I go every year, and I don't go just like on a weekday for lunch. Like, I'll go on a Friday night or a Saturday night. I've got friends. I've got a younger brother that's 9 who likes going, and so I get to take people I enjoy being around, and I go at busy times, but you can't turn a corner without seeing a police officer, without seeing one on horseback or one on a cart, one on foot. And from every agency, whether it be Jackson Police, Hinds County Sheriff, Pearl Police, neighboring Flowood Police, Highway Patrol. Every agency you could think of, Capitol Police, they're all there. And the commissioner also has put the fairgrounds on a well water system, so they're not dependent on what used to be a very fickle Jackson water system. And he also, kind of stood up to the regime. He brags about standing up to the regime during the COVID-19 pandemic and keeping the the Dixie National Rodeo and other events at the Coliseum going when everything else had shut down.
Well, to me, the first thing that we need to figure out, and we'll have Andy on at some point, the commissioner. Always enjoy sitting down and talking to him. It was back in, I think, February, an event out there. Had him come by and sit down at the remote, and we did a segment or two. And as usual, did some catching up during the breaks. Always enjoy talking to him. But here is my suggestion. I know somebody else has already thought about this. If they're not handing out giant, brightly colored foam hats with Gibson for governor on it at the Neshoba County Fair, what are they even doing with the campaign?
I'll keep an eye on that because I'll be at the Neshoba County Fair as I've been the past couple of years, covering the political speeches and events taking place. So I'll make sure that the commissioner gets that recommendation. I think that'd be a good idea. Foam, big cowboy hats, and that'd be a heck of a way to win a lot of people over. And I know the commissioner has been committed to, looking out for the best interest of Mississippi's farmers. And, agriculture is our biggest industry in the state. It's a $9.5 billion industry, and he's overseen that and has been zealous in ensuring that, our farmers are protected from, tax increases, rate increases, any kind of trade policies that could hurt them. And so, that's the record he's running on, and it'll be interesting to see how the field starts to crowd here soon. I'm I'm pretty sure that he won't be the only announcement made by now and the aftermath of the Neshoba County Fair. I'm sure we'll have others jumping into the race here soon.
Well, here's my question, because no one has really talked about this much that I have seen. We have the Commissioner of Agriculture, who has now come out and announced his campaign. This isn't conjecture at this point. He came right out and said, I'm running. He's got the graphic done, whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah.
The Lieutenant Governor, the State Auditor, I'm sure others. Governorship aside, we could see a fruit basket turnover in the statewide elected offices in the next election. If all of them run for governor,
right.
You can't run for both. So we're going to see a lot of new faces potentially.
Absolutely. And if, in that, what will that look like at that point? I know that, again, this hasn't been formally announced. I know that Secretary of State Michael Watson has kind of hinted and teased at a lieutenant governor. He's wanting to work up the ladder, kind of the way that Delbert Hosemann did it and Tate Reeves did it. And some of them are just saying, no, we're going to just swing for the fences now. But right, there could be a huge shakeup in who is running our state from the state agency level.
Because we have, I forget, is it 7 or 8 statewide elected offices?
Oh, Dave, you put me on the spot. I can count them.
Sorry.
I can count them in my head. I know them all. I can count them in my head, but it's around that figure.
It's about 7 or 8.
Because when you think of it, treasurer, insurance commissioner, governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, it adds up to about that figure.
Yeah, about 7 or 8. So it is a very realistic possibility that we could see half or more of those offices with a new face in it after the next election.
Absolutely, and it wouldn't shock me if we do see a lot of new faces, that are elected at the statewide level. But I also, we have been a very status quo state as of late, but with a term limited governor and since Haley Barbour has been governor, I'll go off on this. It's not really a tangent. I'll chase this rabbit for a second. We've kind of known who the next in line is going to be. I know in the primaries when Governor Reeves first ran, there were there were challengers, Bill Waller and Robert Foster. There was kind of a, contentious Republican primary, but still the general consensus there was that, Lieutenant Governor at the time, Tate Reeves, was next in line. He had gone up from treasurer, lieutenant governor, worked his way up to governor. He was part of that, I wouldn't say Haley Barbour dynasty, but that just aftermath, when Governor Barbour was governor, we knew that lieutenant governor then turned governor, Phil Bryant was going to be. I mean, it was just kind of a foregone conclusion. And so now, for the first time in 2 decades, we really will see something different. Like the people always decide who the governor is, but there's not going to be this preconceived notion that, Delbert Hosemann's a shoe-in to be governor, or, Shad White's a shoe-in to be governor. And we don't know. And the primary will be the kind of telltale, and we'll see, all these people have won their reelection bids overwhelmingly. We'll see who the people of Mississippi really choose on the Republican side here, in the next few years. But we're still in the early stages of the second term of Tate Reeves, too, though.
I will say, even though it is 2.5 years out, I'm going on record right now. We will have, if we have all of these other office holders that all throw their hat in the ring for governor, we will see a record turnout in 2027.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all, because they're all going to be rallying the troops, and we'll see where people's allegiances lie. And then, at that point, you have a crowded primary. It probably goes to a runoff, and we'll see, where Mississippians want not just the Republican Party, but the state to head in the future. But we're not done with, obviously, candidate announcements, and some of them are inevitable, and you never know. There may be a surprise candidate that decides.
From the Seabrook-Payne film.
Everybody ready?
I'm ready. Ready here. Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
I started to get back into it, but I didn't want to interrupt the dance party going on in the headquarters there with Caleb Sailors, who's joining us from SuperTalk Mississippi News. This is Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. The powers that be can try to silence us all they can. We got cut off there because right after that, it was revealed Caleb's running for governor. So
I will be 30 by 2027, so I will be old enough to run for governor. So, I mean, if the powers that be are trying to stop me, taking me off the air is not the only thing they have to do. I mean, they got to do more than that. But
we are SuperTalk Mississippi. We shall not be silenced.
But as of now, I am not. I can assure you, people of Mississippi, you will not be forced to have to deal with me during press conferences and special sessions, etc. I won't. I mean, you will for reporting purposes, news purposes, but no, I will not be the figurehead behind Mississippi's government.
I love that. That was so eloquently put. You should run for office. Now, we're talking about the next governor. We still got a lot of goodie left in this governor, and we saw that with all of the investments that have been made this year in the state of Mississippi that Governor Reeves has been instrumental in pulling off, including what is it, $9 million, I think it is?
Little north of $9 million going to AI initiatives at multiple colleges, universities, JUCOs in Mississippi. And this is, like the governor said, is to train the workforce of the next 50 years. You know, right now, we've got a good and growing workforce in Mississippi, but, you know, we need to learn AI, cloud computing, machine learning. Like, this is not, I mean, first of all, it's here. It's not coming. It's here. We already have it. And with Amazon Web Services setting up in Madison County and all these other projects happening statewide, it's necessary and vital to train our young people, our college students for these jobs coming up, because they're going to have to learn how to, you know, orchestrate or implement AI into just about everything they do, and it's supposed to ease them. So this money, I won't get into the specific figures going to each university. You can go to supertalk.fm. Ben Milam did a really good job covering the editorial side of it while I was at the press conference in Jackson yesterday. But Alcorn State, Belhaven University, Jackson State, Millsaps, Mississippi College, Mississippi State, and Southern Miss will be receiving this money for various, you know, AI, machine learning initiatives. But it again is to help teach students. And I will say the governor and a myriad of leaders alongside him yesterday also made it clear that these investments aren't just going to stop at the institutions of higher learning. They're planning to invest in career technical centers at high school, even talking to middle schoolers. The representative from Amazon Web Services yesterday, who was at the event, said they're talking to middle schools right now, because a lot of these jobs from AWS and others that will be in play in Mississippi will be in play in the next, 8 to 10 years, when a lot of these middle school students will have graduated from high school at this point. So they're really looking to, instill a sense of AI literacy, machine learning literacy in young people to train them for future jobs. And I think being so hands-on and innovative in this thought will help Mississippi's economy in the future. I mean, even looking at some of this money that's going to Southern Miss in a partnership with Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College to build the blue economy in Mississippi. I mean, that's incredible, because these are, excuse me, I mean, we have one of our most vital resources in the state is our Gulf Coast and the industries down there with Ingalls Shipbuilding and others. And if we can have our students at our local community college and our local university down there trained, boom, they don't have to go off to, Tennessee or Florida or California or Texas to find a good high-paying job. They have one right in their backyard, and that stops the brain drain. That helps recruit new talent to Mississippi, and it gives students here, opportunities to learn something that's going to be vital for the future. And I think it's a win-win.
That's what I love about this, and I have to give Governor Reeves full props on this $9 million AI initiative, because I know you have seen this. I know you have heard this, just like I have. There's a significant part of the population that immediately wrinkles their nose when you even mention AI. It's just messing around with a bunch of nonsense. We got to get back to hard work and do this. Guess what? In 10 years, that is going to be the work.
That is.
Probably sooner, to be honest with you. It's already happening. You're already seeing people being replaced with either AI or, more importantly, people who understand and can use AI to be more efficient and effective. This is a skill moving forward that is going to be hugely important to people being able to be a productive member of society and generate an income for themselves and their potential future family. And to see it that far ahead, despite the fact that you've got some people that just are turning their nose up to the very concept of it, you can do that all you want. It's not going anywhere. It's here.
Yeah, it doesn't change the fact. And I will say, what has Mississippi being stuck in the past done for the state? How has it benefited us economically? How has it benefited us socially? How has it benefited us in any aspect of life? I'm not saying that we should knock traditional values or anything. I'm all about traditional values. But when it comes to innovation and progressive thinking in an economic sense, this is the way forward. This is the future. I mean, some people can fight it tooth and nail, but it doesn't change the fact that AI is here. Cloud computing is here. Machine learning is here, and it's all necessary, a necessary function of life if you want to be employed and maintain meaningful employment in Mississippi or anywhere in the country.
You know, I keep going back in my mind to when I was coming through school, you know, back about 50 years before you were born. But when I was coming through school, you know, you weren't allowed to have a calculator during a test or in class or anything. And the standard statement was, you're never going to just have a calculator with you everywhere. It doesn't work that way. Well, guess what, Bubba?
We do.
I got one with me every step I take, all day, every day now.
Every time I open my iPhone, I can open a calculator. And now I can open some AI. I can go to Grok. I can go to ChatGPT or one of these entities and find out a million different things by just one touch of a button.
Personal recommendation, go try Claude if you haven't tried Claude.
There you go,
yet.
Claude. That one too. I mean, there's all these resources at our disposal, and it would be errant for us not to take advantage of them.
Yes, so excellent job. Full props, full bragging to Governor Reeves for that announcement. Have you been down to the Buc-ee's yet?
No, I have not, Dave. I'm here in Jackson. It's hard for me to get to the Gulf Coast, but I do have a brother that lives in Gulfport, so I'll probably be paying him a visit soon so we can both go trek the Buc-ee's waters together. But officials did cut the ribbon. The beaver fever has been remedied a little bit, or maybe intensified. I don't know. Down in Pass Christian in Harrison County, folks gathered in droves for the opening of Buc-ee's. I did see videos and pictures, and it was a mess and a half down there on the coast. But yeah, this is one of the largest Buc-ee's to date that they've ever built. I believe the second largest. You know, they say everything is bigger in Texas, but although Texas does boast the biggest Buc-ee's of them all, I will say per capita, Mississippi has the biggest Buc-ee's. And so 74,000 square foot is going to employ several hundred people. A huge, we talked about, the economy. This is a huge boost for the economy. People seek out Buc-ee's, not just to get gas, but to eat, to go use clean restrooms, and they're spending good money that's going back to the local economy. And then Buc-ee's is huge on hiring local. So all these employees you see at Buc-ee's, whether it be the tellers at the ATM machines, to the people cooking, to the people cleaning, all of them are going to have local ties, whether it be, the Mississippi Gulf Coast or areas nearby. But these jobs and this facility is just going to be huge for the area, and also it's going to attract other businesses. Not a matter of if, but when. So a huge win for the Mississippi Gulf Coast and a huge win for the state of Mississippi. And I'm hoping this isn't the last we see of Buc-ee's in Mississippi. Maybe we can get one up here in central Mississippi. I know of some spots where I'd put one if I were a power that is, but I'm not. And I'm not running for governor, by the way.
I don't know. I'm starting to hear the planks plop into place on your platform one at a time here, buddy. You might not be hiding this as well as you think you are. Caleb Sailors, and by the way, I would recommend, for me personally, if you're going to make that kind of trip, let it die down a little bit before you go visit Buc-ee's.
Yeah, that's my point. I've been to Buc-ee's before. My parents live in Pensacola, Florida, so there's a Buc-ee's in Loxley, Alabama, right along the way. And it's been open for a while, but every time I go there, it's jam-packed. And I've been to the one right outside of Birmingham in Alabama on the way to Atlanta several times, and it's always packed. So I am going to let the beaver fever die down a little bit on this one, but I will tell you, I know it's going to be packed 24/7 around the clock, and that's how long Buc-ee's is open, 365 days a year, 24/7. And if you do want more than just the Buc-ee's beaver, the Mississippi Aquarium is boasting its beavers down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, so pay them a visit as well.
It's beavers as far as the eye can see down on the Gulf Coast.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff all the way across the board. Caleb Saylor, Super Talk, Mississippi News. Always enjoy talking to you, man.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
Anytime. We will continue in the Element Wealth Studios on Middays right after this. Keep it here.
Up of Mississippi. Middays with Gerard.
Good for America. Good for fans of justice and truth. Good for us.
Super Talk Mississippi.
This is what we stand for.
Welcome back to Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Dave Hewson on this Friday. Special day, a bit unique today in a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar and Sports Talk Mississippi, both at the Greenville Country Club. It's the Delta Soul Celebrity Golf and Charity event, so both shows there in a Mississippi Minute live on location. Why? Well, it's the Delta Soul Charity event. Steve is going to be there. A lot of celebrities, actors, musicians, sports fans, starting with In a Mississippi Minute and continuing on into Sports Talk Mississippi later this afternoon. Rhino, the best exchange I have seen so far. I have some new updates on the Israel-Iran thing we'll get to in just a second. But CNN, this is the bizarro world we live in now. CNN talked with President Trump this morning. That statement alone is bizarre. But Dana Bash on CNN was talking to him, and Trump made the point and said that all of Iran's hardline negotiators were dead. And she said, did Israel get them? And he said, well, they didn't die of COVID. Jab right there, right where it does the most good. You got to love that. The latest information that they have put out, number one, Senator Josh Hawley has come out and said that the U.S. will not be involved in any back and forth between Israel and Iran. Said it's one thing to provide them with arms for their own self-defense, which we have done and should do, but I can't imagine a world in which we would send United States troops in which we would be involved in any kinetic activity. There's a fun term, as the defense people like to say, unless it's just defending our own installations. So we're starting to have people, it goes back to what we were talking about last hour, Rhino. You know, we've had all the panic monkeys out there shaking the trees and shrieking that we're going to have boots on the ground. He's drug us into another war. This is horrible. So now we're starting to see officials step forward and go, hold on. I don't see that happening. And I think there's some substance to that. I don't think that's any part of this plan, whatever it may be, and whoever ultimately helped cook it up. I don't think there's any plan for the U.S. to be physically directly involved in this unless I've missed something. I haven't seen anything that indicated that.
Well, if some of the latest reporting is to be believed, I don't think it'll come to that. So it could be very well true, because now I'm seeing reporting that Israel convinced all of the Iranian air defense and air force leadership to meet in one place. And that place has now been destroyed.
Yeah. So supposedly, they were getting together to talk about their great plans, but it was organized by inside Mossad agents to get them all in one place at one time.
And specifically to keep them there. They were very adamant to point out that they were able to keep them there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing.
That could be anything from they had somebody talking, oh, wait, let me go to the bathroom, and left, to they got them in the room and chained the doors closed.
Yeah, it could be just that simple. We may never know. Probably we'll never know. but it is stunning. We saw this with the pager bombs that they did some time back. You remember that. The Mossad, the secret service, spy service, basically, of the Israeli military, is scarily effective. They are really good at what they do. Like them, don't like them, doesn't matter. They're very, very good at what they do. So, yeah, this was orchestrated in a lot of interesting ways that you might not otherwise expect. Apparently, Prime Minister Netanyahu has already spoken with the leaders of Germany, India, and France, and today he's going to be talking to, here's a conference call in the current climate overall. Benjamin Netanyahu is going to be talking with President Trump, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and Vladimir Putin to discuss what's going on and why it's happening. We're back to living in interesting times again, Rhino, although to be honest, that's been a continuous 5-year waterfall, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've been drinking from the hydrant for a while now.
Well, unfortunately, the world has risen to meet the insatiable 24/7 news cycle that has developed. That's not the adjustment I wanted to see. I would rather us adjust back down to Walter Cronkite coming in for 30 minutes and going, and that's the news, and then you're done. You go straight to Wheel of Fortune. But no. Apparently, latest report, the Israel Defense Forces said that the country's Air Force is attacking missile launchers and unmanned aerial vehicles launched from Iran right now. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend of news from the Middle East. Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then the final hour of Middays on this Friday, coming up next on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
And now, the talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
That's what I like to listen to.
You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert. Here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Winter is here again, oh Lord. Haven't been home in a year or more. I hope she holds on a little longer.
Welcome back. Middays in the Element Wealth Studios on a Friday morning on the downhill slide into the weekend now that we're past noon. Latest information, Axios is reporting that the U.S. has been on board with this attack and knew about it from the word go, and it was a setup. They had a call between Netanyahu and Trump back on Monday. Israel reported and told to reporters that Trump was trying to put the brakes on any attack that might happen. Instead, the call actually dealt with coordinating the attack. It's very comforting, calming information, isn't it? Let's talk about something better, because Rhino just reminded me, and we got to talk about this. Spaceballs 2. That's a positive development in the world, I think. Rhino, are you happy about this? Are you excited for this?
Oh, yeah, that was definitely the most exciting news I saw throughout the entire 24-hour news cycle of yesterday, was the trailer for Spaceballs 2 that just laid bare the lack of creativity in Hollywood over the last 38 years, where it just lists off, you got a prequel trilogy, a sequel trilogy, a sequel to the prequel, a prequel to the sequel, TV spinoffs, movie spinoffs of the TV spinoff that's both the prequel and a sequel, 2 Dunes, 7 Jurassic Parks, 2 Avatars plus 3 upcoming Avatars, making 5 Avatars, 36 Marvel movies with 2 different Robert Downey Jr.'s. attempt number 1 for the DCU, attempt number 2 for the DCU, an animated Lion King, a live-action animated Lion King, a live-action animated Lion King prequel, 8 Harry Potter movies, a TV series remaking the 8 Harry Potter movies, a whole streaming service of Star Trek, 7 Alien movies, 2 of which were also Predator movies, not to be mistaken for the 6 Predator movies that are also not Alien movies, 1 Prometheus, which is kind of an Alien movie, 4 Beatles movies, and Oppenheimer.
And there is nothing to argue with there. That is a highly accurate list. And I agree with you. Rhino mentioned what they have to call this movie, and he's right.
Yeah, you've got to call it Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, because that's what Yogurt said that was the only time they were going to get back together in the first one.
Yeah, the Han Solo stand-in said, will I ever see you again? And he said, hopefully when we get back together for Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. And that was almost 40 years ago. But I one sad note about this, in a way, potentially, I mentioned to Rhino during the break, I hope they film Mel Brooks' scenes first, get those in the can and done, because on the 28th of this month, in 2 weeks, he turns 99 years old. His birthday is June 28th, 1926. He is about to be 99 years old. So I'm hoping they don't stretch the production out of this movie. But the guy is remarkably spry and with it and together.
And I would imagine, even though Hollywood would try their best to push it out, if he did pass during the making of this, I don't know that it would get released.
Yeah. Yeah, might not even get finished, honestly.
And speaking of actors passing, I mean, there is a major character from Spaceballs that would have to be recast or worked around, and that is the late, great John Candy, who played Barf, the Chewbacca stand-in.
Yeah. And he is one of those guys. John Candy's irreplaceable.
He is, but I think the internet has come to a pretty good conclusion of who would be a at least decent recast. It would be a different take on the character, but I think he would do it justice. And that's the one and only Shane Gillis.
Yeah, I can see that. But see, to me, you got to bring him back. Well, I started to say, and I was already starting to think about this as a completely different type of project than all Mel Brooks productions are. I was going to say, well, you got to bring him back as like the son of Barf or something.
Yeah, call him Ralph.
No, you need to bring him back as Barf and have 8 million meta jokes about how you look different. That's a Mel Brooks movie. Just to hit the nail right on the head and storm forward. So that's what I would expect. Rick Moranis is coming back.
Oh, yeah. He told the Ghostbusters people, nah, I'm good, but he's coming back for Mel Brooks.
Yeah. He hasn't acted really in anything in quite a while, and he's coming back for this. So it looks like it's going to be a great thing, but let's talk about that scroll and Mel Brooks doing what he has always done his entire career, is shine a light on realities that a lot of times people don't want to talk about too much out loud. And just this short teaser, he does that again, something you and I have talked about many times. You referred to it as leaning into nostalgia. I refer to it as creative bankruptcy. They don't have any original ideas left in Hollywood because they have driven all the people with the original ideas out because they might hurt somebody's feelings that's got purple hair.
Yeah, you really only have Christopher Nolan trying his best to make blockbusters that are at least somewhat unique.
The only reason Mel Brooks is still able to make movies is because he's Mel Brooks. If he was trying to start from the beginning of his career right now, it would never get off the ground. Nobody would give him a shot.
Not to rain on the parade of Spaceballs 2, but we have seen a modern Mel Brooks production with History of the World Part 2. And it had its funny moments, but it paled in comparison to the original History of the World Part 1.
Yeah. It wasn't quite the same, really. That's why you've never seen a sequel to Blazing Saddles, for example, or a remake or anything else. It is a classic. You don't touch it. There's nothing else you can do with that. But Hollywood has kind of lost the ability to figure that out because it's nothing but an enormous cash crunching machine where they keep churning out the same nonsense over and over and over, and it's the public's fault because we keep giving them money for it. As soon as we stop giving them money for it, they'll stop doing that. But it's working, so of course they're not going to stop. So we wind up with 7 sequels to this, 9 sequels to this. I love the Marvel movies. I have said so many times, I would have ripped someone's throat out with my bare teeth to have gotten those movies when I was 9. Would have had to use the stepladder, but I would have taken a stab at it. But it just seems like we are stuck in an enormous creative rut. In everything, in movies, in books, in music, in everything. It's just the same old stuff over and over and over and over. We need some new things because all the things that we're repeating, at one point, they were original. That's why they got repeated.
And some of that very well could be due to the nepotism that's rampant in Hollywood because now you've got, in some cases, 3rd and 4th generation Hollywood people that are intimately involved in the behind-the-scenes making of these movies. And they just don't have the same stuff that Grandpappy or Great-Grandpappy had.
Yes, and you add into that as well the culture shift that I'm talking about. It's absolutely no secret that Hollywood is extremely left-leaning now. Wasn't always the case, and to me, the poster child to prove that was Rock Hudson. Big heartthrob. Did all this stuff. Turned out he was gay. Nobody knew about it. Why? Because it wasn't important to the work. He was playing the part that everybody wanted to see him play, which is kind of the job in entertainment. It doesn't matter if the boss comes in and goes, well, we need more representation. Well, no, you do the job the people want done. And that has been completely lost, and as a result, creativity has been squashed completely because there's no freedom left, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's evident in the stories you hear from Hollywood in the 80s and 90s where the studios and the executives were trying to pull the same crap and force everything to fit into a nice cookie-cutter shape or fit into the box that they were comfortable with. But you had enough strong-willed directors and producers to push back and go, no, that's not going to make a good product. If you want us to make you a ton of money, let us do it the way we want to. And nowadays it seems like you're just not going to stick around as the director if you have any pushback against the studios. They're just going to fire you and find somebody new.
Yes, in the middle of the project. We've seen it. So it's refreshing to see somebody call it out, but that's what Mel Brooks has done his entire career. So it's not exactly a surprise. It's just refreshing. We continue on Middays in the Element Well Studios. Have no idea where we're going to wind up next, but I've got some suspicions, and it's going to be great. Well, just stick around. You'll find out. Keep it here.
Interrupt this program.
Gerard Gibert.
Here we go. This is huge news. Huge news. You need to listen to this.
Middays with Gerard. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back The Element Well Studios popping on this Friday here on Middays. Let's turn to the boys in blue briefly. The news is coming out today about a big drug bust in Brookhaven over the weekend. 8 felony arrests, over 6,400 grams of powdered cocaine, right at 2,300 grams of marijuana, 36 grams of crack, 4 dosage units of meth. That sounds like somebody's personal stash. Hydrocodone, alprazolam, THC gummies, and over $27,000 in cash, 2 vehicles, and a stolen handgun. It just continues, doesn't it? It never ends. But good things are being done to keep it under control. Now, let's go to the topic of the day. You and I mentioned earlier, well, one of the topics of the day. You and I mentioned earlier, Rhino, about the U.S. Senator who stormed into a press conference in Los Angeles with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and made a complete idiot out of himself and is now playing the victim card so hard he's creased it. It's no longer mint value. And it's not working. That's the most fascinating part about this to me, is that the Democrats don't seem to realize their playbook no longer works. And that's just not an opinion. That's been borne out over and over. They keep trying the same stuff they've been doing for over a decade, except this time everyone is pointing and laughing at them, and they're not getting any traction off of it like they always have, but they keep doing it because that's the only bullet they have in their gun. That's the only thing they know to do is this kind of nonsense. My question to you, Rhino, the whole thing with the senator busting in, trying to interrupt, trying to grandstand in the middle of a press briefing where there wasn't a question and answer period. He hadn't been invited. Nobody else was there. It was the secretary's press event, and he bust in and started screaming questions. So they took him outside, put him on the ground in the hall, and handcuffed him. Wasn't wearing his Senate pin or anything. Was that a complete setup to get this attention, or did it in some way really happen the way he's trying to represent?
I believe it was set up because the staffer that was filming was already filming, which means he likely thought he was going to be able to go in, and because of being a senator, he would be allowed to shout over the secretary and have his I am Spartacus moment, all captured on film that he could campaign on and get invisible internet cool points on social media and kudos from his fellow Democrats. But because he started shouting before he announced that he was a senator, the Secret Service and the FBI officers were already manhandling him out of the room. And I think they tried to just run with what they had, not realizing that everybody had video evidence proving that all of the lies they tried to spin were just that, lies.
Yeah, and then, like I said, they have the sheer audacity to look at the video, see the video, and say, well, that video, that's not the way it actually happened. You know, we've got video proof of how it happened. Wait, what? The video is wrong. You got to believe the video, our version. No, those days are over, and they have not mentally adjusted yet. I love the semantics used by Cory Booker in Washington on the floor, giving an impassioned, fiery, wide-eyed speech. Have you ever noticed how the liberal elected officials and pundits have that look on their face where you can see the whites all the way around their eyes while they're talking?
Yeah, crazy eyes.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Shouting and screaming and gesturing and bouncing up and down and explaining they made this fine senator from California kneel before the king. Kneel before the monarch. I'm like, number one, Trump wasn't there. Number two, it was a press conference in a public building. No one was beheaded. You acted stupid. You got treated like you were acting stupid. That's kind of a predictable outcome, isn't it? But we're supposed to believe that it's this enormous thing. Now, tangentially related to that, bringing it back to Mississippi, all of that is over the fact that ICE keeps arresting illegal immigrants in Los Angeles. How dare they? Such a horrible, egregious affront on America, according to the Democrats. Well, this week, ICE has arrested 27 immigrants in Mississippi between Monday and yesterday morning. The Madison County Sheriff's Department has all the mugshots. Been posting them throughout the week as they have arrested them. And they're not done. All of them have been charged, out of the ones arrested inside Mississippi, all of them have been charged with re-entering back into the country illegally. In other words, they were here, they were kicked out, they were deported because they were not legally here and snuck their way back in.
That's felonious.
That's a felony. That's a whole different level all of a sudden. They say more arrests are coming. Now, while this is going on, the legal project director with the Mississippi Immigrants' Rights Alliance, you can't make this stuff up. Her name is Patricia Ice, I-C-E. So ICE was complaining about the ICE raids, and she got all emotional when she was talking to WLBT about how this is, I would like to see that a priority system brought back or immigrants be allowed to stay. The ideal that I have in my head is that immigrants be able to come here with permanent residence and be able to work here legally after being vetted. That would be a dream of mine. Well, that doesn't apply to any of the people that were arrested this week, apparently, because they were all charged with illegal re-entry into the country. They didn't try to do it the legal way. There is a process to vet people. There is a process for people to come here. They didn't follow it. Twice. By definition. So what you're trying to tug on the heartstrings about is something they had the opportunity to do and didn't. So I fail to see where this is such an emotional, horrible tragedy that's going on. But that's the way it's presented because that's all they have on the left-hand side of things. Emotions, feelings, Oh, don't you feel bad for doing that? No.
Yeah, that's the funniest part about people online. And this is what you voted for. Are you happy with your vote now? Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty dang happy with that vote.
This is exactly what I voted for. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. I feel even better about it now. Keep talking, by all means. So this is impacting here. And I'm sure we will have some of these soft hearts, we'll call them soft hearts, that will show up to some of these No Kings rallies in the state tomorrow. I don't foresee any problems. I certainly hope, I have no inside knowledge, I don't know, but I certainly hope we're going to take more of a page from the Brevard County Sheriff about how we deal with people if somebody shows up and tries to cause a problem. You want to protest? You want to show up with your signs and your chants and your Texas two-step or whatever movements you're doing along with your chants and your protest songs? Great. That's as American as it gets. You're allowed to do that. You should be encouraged to do that. It's when it goes beyond that we have a problem. That's not American. And we are reaching the point where the foot is about to be put down on the kind of destructive activity we've seen in other places. So just wanted to give you a little context to show you, this is having an impact in Mississippi and will continue to have an impact in Mississippi moving forward. Interesting times, I'm telling you, interesting times. We've got half an hour left and we will spend it wisely. Oh, come on, it's me. We're not going to spend it wisely at all. We'll continue on Middays in the Element Wealth Studios right after this.
From the Seabrook Paint.
Gerard Gibert. Going beyond the headlines. Breaking down the stories that matter to Mississippi. Middays with Gerard on SuperTalk Mississippi.
There's a poster child for where did the creativity go? Shock the monkey? I mean, obviously Peter Gabriel was enjoying some fine recreational substances for a big chunk of his career, but still, you pitch that to a record executive now and watch what happens. Welcome back, Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. I know it was a misstatement. I know it was a slip of the tongue, I'm sure. But did you see the interview where the Secretary of the Army, Dan Driscoll, talking about the fine men and women of the Army? Hats off to them. Literally wouldn't have what we have now without them. He was running down, we've got soldiers here, we've got soldiers there. Earlier this week, we talked to a soldier who's on the moon. And we talked to this, and just blew right past that, never mentioned it again. We got soldiers on the moon, Rhino?
Well, you got to put on the tinfoil hat and make sure it's nice and tight, but we do have the lunar... I can't even do it. I can't.
I was curious to see how far you were going to take that.
I know there were plans for a lunar base on the moon if Apollo had continued on the trajectory it was on with the first 2 missions after the landing, because they had the Apollo 1 tragedy and they took a step back and, all right, we got to make sure all of this is 100% safe, 110% safe, because we were 100% safe and it didn't work, so we got to be better. And thankfully they didn't have any more problems in the Apollo program until 13, but they got those guys home. But it seems like after the hoopla of Apollo 11 with the first landing, and then the craziness of Apollo 13, the public attention waned, and therefore the money dried up, and all of that future planning for the Apollo program and the lunar base and all that got scrapped. And the only reason I know any of this is because growing up in Tupelo at I think it's the Orindun Museum. I have no idea if it's still there, but when I was growing up, I know this gentleman's not still there because he was elderly at the time I was little. But he worked with NASA on the Apollo program and had a model of the proposed lunar base under glass that lit up and everything, and he would talk about all the different things they had planned, and he talked about it as if it were still an option. They just got to pull everything out of storage, throw it all together, and we can do this.
I will say this. The very first thing I saw about this on X was somebody saying, well, of course we have people on the moon. We never left. As you read through the replies and the discussion about it, you can hear the music playing in your head. I'm a conspiracy theory guy. You know that. I enjoy the things, but come on. He was talking about one of the people on the space station right now is a soldier. The commander of the mission right now is a soldier. That's obviously what he meant. But the way he said it and what he said, it sounded like he was confirming we had soldiers on the moon. What you say and how you say it are both extremely important, especially these days, because we've already been through a toilet paper shortage. Let's not go through a tinfoil shortage because of the hats.
Well, in the same vein, we did have the headline from the New York Post, I think it was, earlier this week. Breaking, the FBI has been secretly putting forward fake alien and UFO stories to obfuscate from the truth. Yes.
To divert attention away from top secret weapons programs. Now, there are obviously some problems with that. One of them is, so you're telling me that was fake to distract from something else, and not that this is fake to distract from something else. Once you start saying, well, yeah, we lied about that. Well, we lied about that too. But we're telling you the truth this time, I swear, it kind of loses some of its veracity.
Yeah.
So, general rule of thumb, especially when it comes to anything remotely controversial, don't believe anything anybody tells you. Just go get a smoothie and take a nap. It's a much better use of your time.
I have to admit, I did like that headline simply because it reinforces something I've thought since I was a wee lad, that I'd never believed in aliens. I had some sneaking suspicions about UFOs. There was a lot of talk about them, but all the pictures when I was growing up were grainy, blurry messes. So it was questionable at best. This is also at the time where I was at that age where I was big into Bigfoot and Loch Ness and all of that stuff. But with UFOs, my running theory, that I'm sure I'm not the first to come up with it, but this was just my original thought at the age of like 10 years old, was that Roswell and the aliens was the cover-up. That it wasn't really aliens, it was secret testing. And like when somebody came out with a headline saying aliens, they were like, run with that. That's brilliant.
That's just not a bad theory. And that's what they're seemingly confirming. I'm not sure I trust anything that they confirm when the subject at hand is discussing top secret anything. I'm not sure I'm going to believe anything they give me whole cloth at this point. They could walk an alien out and say, this is Bob. He'd like to say a few words. I'm not believing that either. You're never going to get the straight truth. It's not the way it works. The truth is out there. Yeah, the truth has been knocked in the back of the head and is lying unconscious in an alley behind a seedy little bar somewhere when it comes to the military and the top secret stuff that's going on.
And that's why we'll likely never know the actual truth about JFK, because all the people that actually knew are long dead.
Yeah, which was the point of the delay in releasing anything. There's nobody left to ask that was there. So, yeah, we're safe now. Little breaking news from KOTV up in Oklahoma. They put out an alert yesterday. Said due to weather, and this is serious. This sounds like satire, sounds like a joke, but it's not. You know the movie Twisters?
Oh, yeah.
Said the alert was due to weather, the Twisters watch party at the gathering place has been postponed to a later date. They had a big outdoor screening of Twisters scheduled during tornado season in the place where Twisters was based in the movie. And then they're shocked they had to postpone it because of weather. I feel like we don't spend a lot of time planning anymore or thinking things through. Except for the aliens and the army base on the moon, which are both obviously true. And I dare you to prove otherwise. That's part of the problem with all of these kind of things. Everybody screams about, we need proof, we need evidence, we need to prove this. You're never going to prove it, but you're never going to disprove it either, because you can't prove something doesn't exist. You can't prove something didn't happen. That's the basis of the American legal system. You're innocent until proven guilty. Why? Prove you didn't do this. What? Prove you didn't say these words. Huh? It's hard to do. So, as a result, we get this never-ending, ongoing treadmill of discussion and debate and interest in something that, here lately, the best thing that has been produced out of all of that are the AI-generated Bigfoot blogs. Have you seen those, the vlogs?
Oh, yeah. Those have really given me hope for the future of AI, because they're obviously AI, so people aren't being bamboozled by it, and unless you sincerely believe Bigfoot's making a blog, in which case don't ever answer the phone again, because you're probably not going to be able to hang on to your money very long.
Oh, no. The bank account's immediately drained.
But the use of AI for something like that is a perfect use case for the early iterations of AI that we have.
Yes. And they're entertaining. They're hilarious. My favorite part of the whole thing is Bigfoot, half the time, is walking through the woods, got his phone camera mounted on a selfie stick that you see him holding out in front of him to get a good image of him while he's walking. It's perfectly done. If you haven't seen any of those, go look at them. It'll brighten your day. But you're exactly right. That AI, just because it can be used for bad things, doesn't mean AI is bad. Replace AI with guns and you might get my point. Final segment of Middays in the Element Well Studios on the way next. Keep it here.
Hey, this is Bob.
Talk Mississippi. Bert. He keeps his classified documents right where they belong. Inside a Journey record jacket from the 1980s. Gerard Gibert. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi, a Friday. A little rain falling around the state, but that's okay. We'll make it through. I've got my floaties ready to inflate. So, no trouble. I don't know if you saw the flooding over in San Antonio day before yesterday, I think it was, Rhino. They had some areas that got 2 inches of rain in 30 minutes. And literally just washed cars off the road while they're driving down. It wasn't a situation where they drove into water. It just hit them and knocked them off the road. So comparatively, we're doing pretty good here in Mississippi right now. Did you get the text I sent you?
I did, and I had just seen that on my timeline. That is, I think unfortunate is the nicest way I could put it.
That is such a good way to put it. Greta Thunberg has a sister, apparently. Well, sister. Who apparently somebody convinced the sibling they were a singer. Or at least humored them. And there's a video going around of the sister performing at an LGBTQIXYZ festival. And Yoko Ono somewhere would be breathing a sigh of relief right now because she's no longer the worst singer to ever stand in front of a microphone.
Yeah, I've got the audio here.
Please.
Give this a listen. But if you're driving, make sure to keep your hands on the wheel and don't drive off the road, even though
she's serious.
Yeah, you might be tempted to hit something hard.
Yeah. Last time I had a vehicle that made those kind of noises, I took it to the shop and it was going to cost too much to fix it, so I traded it in. And she's getting cheered. Goes back to that Rick and Morty quote. Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. Mainly wanted to play that audio so I wouldn't be the only one to have experienced that, because that's an awfully heavy burden to tote alone. Crying out loud.
Especially with the corresponding imaging.
Oh, yeah. You're not getting the visual that goes along with that. Trust me, the visual matches the audio. Just
oddly, yes.
Yeah, it does. Oh, it's a full production for a given value of the word production. Got a question for you right now. Here's a good one. Here's a trivia question for you.
All right.
Outside of management, obviously, what is the highest paying position at Walmart?
Does pharmacy count?
I don't know.
Because I would imagine the store's pharmacists would make a pretty penny.
Yeah, I'm not sure they...
But outside of that, I'm going to guess deli worker.
You're close. You're very close. Outside of manager roles, the highest paid hourly positions at U.S. Walmart stores, cake decorators. Didn't see that coming. It's apparently $19.25 an hour.
Well, that's not bad.
With an average pay. It's not bad pay, yeah. Cake decorator. Once you start to think about it, it makes a little sense. Because not just anybody can do that. Perfect example, you would not want a cake I decorated. You're not paying for that. You're not taking it home. You're going to ruin little Billy's birthday if you take him home a cake I decorated. It takes a certain amount of skill, a certain amount of talent. Goes back to what we've talked about before. Skill matters. The application of that skill matters. It should matter. You should get paid based on what you bring to the table. That's a great example of that, I think. Cake decorators. So if you're looking for something to do, decorating cakes is apparently a decent option. Not sure I saw that coming. Kind of surprised me a little bit.
And don't they have the screen printing kind of thing where they can replicate a picture on the top of it? Because I'm fairly certain that's not difficult to apply. It's the piping to get it looking frilly on the edges that's the difficult part.
And one final breaking note as we go into this weekend of parades and protests and everything else. A radio broadcast tower on the campus of American University in Northwest Washington, D.C. As of yesterday, they were still trying to get the guy down off the top who had climbed up and had been up there for over 40 hours, just sitting there. I'm sure they're going to airlift him sandwiches at any moment. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. And I believe you and I will do this again Tuesday, Rhino.
Oh, yeah.
My friend, I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.